Welcome back to another week of possible spoilers ahead. As always, since we will be talking about the last week of wrestling, and while I may not be spoiling anything for you, as the name suggests, there could be possible spoilers ahead. With that warning in tow, as always, this week, we have something to talk about. And we are going to go with one of the topics that was voted on last week, because I wanted to. A lot of you have messaged me asking me why, so now it's time for me to explain my hatred towards the one, the only, thankfully, Jim Cornette. It is no secret to anyone, by now, my hatred for Jim Cornette. I try not to even give the guy press by usually not even naming him. But like I said, enough people have asked about why I hate him, and it's time to address it. Basically, it comes down to three things. These three things have led me to this position towards the man. His hate-based opinions, that joke from the NWA, and his Alex Jones cult-like personality. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything, but simply explain the reason for my opinion on him. First, let's start with his hate-style opinions. There's a way that he addresses those opinions that is just not the right way to address your opinion. Jim Cornette is one of those that feel his opinion is fact. Cornette believes that his narrow, very narrow definition of what pro wrestling is the only thing that pro wrestling is, and everything else is not pro wrestling. If it does not meet his small criteria, it's not allowed to be called pro wrestling. Cornette, regardless of experience or following, does not have the ability to create a definition of an art form. No one does. No one. Not one person, not one even group of people get to decide what is and is not pro wrestling. As I've said before, a painter does not get to tell another painter that their art is not art because it doesn't meet that specific person's definition. Wrestling is art, and art is subjective. Cornette knows the more he hates something that others hate, he will win. He gets the people sharing his podcast so that people can feel validation from their own hatred of something because someone that they respect has the same opinion. Thinking something is garbage is a personal preference. It means you don't like it. It does not mean it is poor in quality. There are many people every day that talk about how much they love WWE. Does you hating Raw and SmackDown mean that their love is wrong? Or does it just mean that you don't have the same taste as that person? Jim Cornette does not say things like, I hated it, or that's not my cup of tea. He says things like, that is not a wrestling character, or no one will believe that, or how can you do that? That makes no sense. In no way does he back up why that doesn't make any sense. If you give reasons and go one by one on why factually that doesn't make sense, that's no longer opinion. But because he is just stating why he doesn't like something, does not equate something as being garbage to the whole industry. One person not liking it doesn't mean it's bad. This goes back to when we were talking about the toxic environment in the wrestling community. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It leads us to this next point with Jim Cornette, and that is his cult of personality. I know I got the song stuck in your head, but say with me. So Jim Cornette is basically the wrestling version of Alex Jones. If you don't know who Alex Jones is, good for you. So Cornette speaks a lot of garbage that is not fact-based in any way, and just calls people idiots that don't agree with his opinion, like Alex Jones. You can call your opinion fact all you want, but it doesn't make it any more true than me saying I am Jesus Christ and making me the Son of God. That doesn't work that way. Cornette uses that to make his living. He deliberately is creating that controversy, because, to quote another person, controversy creates cash, in order to get people fired up. Those who agree with him will share his podcast with their friends to give themselves validation, as I said above, and those who don't will go on a rant, similar to like I am right now, in order to talk about how wrong he is. It's one of the reasons why I don't like to mention him too often, because then he wins. This is what Alex Jones does. He knows what the militant crazies like him are and are passionate about, and pours gasoline all over it and rakes in the money from it. You see, you don't need someone else to have the same opinion as you to validate your opinion. Like what you like, not what other people like, just because you might respect someone. Now finally, we get into that joke. The straw that broke the camel's back, as it is. I don't care how anyone tries to justify it, that joke was in poor taste, and should never have come out of a person's mouth in 2019, 2020, 2021, whatever year it is now, on TV or not, that shouldn't have happened. The joke almost killed the NWA when it was still fresh out of the gate with power. If you support Cornette, you probably think the joke was funny. If you did, you have some of your own issues that you need to work on. I am not going to apologize for that. I was sad to see how many NWA fans came out in defense of him simply because of what he meant to them. One of my grandfathers once said a massively racist joke in front of me, and I told him straight to his face to never say a joke like that to me again. If I can say that to my grandfather, there is no excuse for someone that you don't even know for you to be defending that kind of joke with. There is no excuse for making excuses for that joke. Bottom line. And that is why I do not like Jim Cornette. So please let me know in the comments why you still support Jim Cornette, or why you hold his opinion in such high regard instead of forming your own opinion. Do you agree with me? Do you agree that Cornette has outlived his welcome, and it's time for him to ride off into whatever narrow-minded sunset he's going to go into? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this week's topic, regardless of what it is. So give us a comment letting us know what your thoughts are. And if you enjoyed hearing my thoughts, we'd really appreciate a like on the video, as it would really help others get to see the video. If you can share it, even more powerful. Subscribe, follow, whatever you can do wherever you're watching us, please do so. With that said, sound on, sound off time. Time to go over my favorite remarks of the shows that I wrote down from our sound offs all throughout the week. we'll start off this week's sound off with none other than NWA Power. So Kratos tags in blindly in the opening match immediately to show the issues and with his partner, and Jack Sane asks Crimson to tag him in as he wants some of Kratos. Dane was arguing with the ref when a hooded man comes out to deck Crimson, allowing Kratos to get the pinfall victory. Kyle Davis is told to dance, and he does the Alex Wright dance shockingly well. Pile driver from Aldis before he heads to the top for his elbow drop to make a point. He still didn't go for the pin, and Aldis locked in the cloverleaf to get a submission victory over Mims in an exhibition match. Why do they need to call it an exhibition match? We know it's non-title, just call it a regular match, okay? So Rosa has on her cape to push that she is some kind of superhero, while Camille had her gladiator gear on. It was a nice imagery to show their character differences. Superhero for the people versus I'm just a badass gladiator. Not the crispest match we've seen from either of the two women, as they were trying to do some chain wrestling that was not quite working out as I think they likely had planned. Pope actually said NWO instead of NWA on commentary, and when he does it, it's hilarious. When Velvet does it, it's just sad. Sad. We can clearly hear them calling spots right before we hear the referee telling the girls 2 minutes. My timer showed 18 minutes, and since I knew it was a 20-minute time limit, right then I knew we were going to get a draw, which we did. In the main event, we found out that the NWA rules for a battle royal means that if one foot touches the floor, regardless of how, they are out. It's an interesting little twist. And that's it for NWA, so we'll move on to... Ooh, helps if I press the right button. There we go. NXT. So this week we had NXT. Really love how they put up the graphics on the screens around the arena while introducing the card for tonight. Really great use of that screens that they've got. Who else wants to tune out every time Shotzi comes out with her gimmick and ridiculous sayings? She is the embodiment of every punk chick that knows nothing about punk music and culture. I know I say it every week, I know I get mad about it, but it bothers me. It's bothered me since I knew those girls in high school back in the late 90s. Stop it! Be who you are, not what you think others want you to be. The reverse title thing is cool and all with Raquel, but the shoulder blade thing is still absolutely ridiculous. I'm always going to think that. Can we get an explanation as to why Oney Lorcan is still aligned with Pete Dunne when it was Pat McAfee who brought them together and not some common bond? I just realized how much better the referees have been this week with NXT with that bad fake tan Q referee finally got sent packing. Looks like we are setting up a match for the $1 Million Championship between Cameron Grimes and L.A. Knight. Will be interesting to see how NXT books Frankie Monet and how they handicap her in the ring compared to her previous styles in other companies. Hey, did you know it's been 14 years for Bronson Reed? How about that it's been 14 years? Yeah, was repeated multiple times in the show. So can someone explain to me how Gargano deserves a chance at the NXT Championship when he just lost the North American Championship? Does anyone else think that Karrion Kross is wearing similar entrance gear to that gladiator gear I just mentioned Camille was wearing on NWA? They looked a lot alike. So Balor was out cold in the straight jacket, and the referee calls for the bell as Kross retained the NXT Championship in their second battle over the NXT Championship. Some people are saying now it's time for Balor to go up, but I think he suits just as good in NXT as he does anywhere else. Let us know what you guys think down below, whether you think Balor is better off in NXT or on the main roster. So that will do it for NXT, and because of Dynamite being on Friday, we'll move right on over to NXT UK. So Shaw Samuels fakes an eye injury, so that Noam Dar can interfere, but Frazier decks Noam, and as Dar tries to grab Frazier, the ref decides to just give Dar the boot. We also see the clip of that nasty crossface move that Tailman used last month that gave that nasty sound to the dude's arm that they play up the injury it caused. It still bothers me hearing that sound every time, and I'm not the only one. We'll get to that later on. Post-match, Tailman taunts Smith, then attacks him and puts the crossface back on until finally Oliver Carter returns, runs out, and saves his former or current partner, however you want to look at it. So Kenny Williams is coming out in new gear and without facial hair, giving him a new start with Amir Jordan gone. I really like seeing how Kenny Williams is able to finally be a full heel now where he couldn't be before. Gotta ask, how great was it to see the WCW footage of Meiko Satomura from over 20 years ago? Okay, so Rampage Brown said that his only prediction for the next match against Joe Coffey is pain. He says that he has respect for Joe, but it was Rampage who won their first match. Their last match, whatever you want to call it. So I really love the trash talk before the bell leading to Seven and Gradwell locking up immediately after the ringing of the bell. So seriously, Nigel apparently really likes to say out the back door a lot. A lot. A lot. So the trash talk started again with Severn actually firing up Gradwell, but he was able to get the better of it with the Burning Hammer and the pinfall victory for a really good brawl main event match. If you haven't watched it, check it out, and we'll talk about it again in a few minutes. But before we do anything else like that, we're going to move on to Impact Wrestling. So, Impact Wrestling, Moose started off the show with Sami Callihan saying that until against all odds, Kenny Omega is his business and tells Sami to wait until after. Sami points out that the Good Brothers are attacking him and not Moose because they know who the real threat is. Moose has the arm of Gallows around him, and when he says that the Good Brothers are on his side, he is not on theirs and decks the Good Brothers. I'm really looking forward to the tag match that they had because it was with me being a Canadian who has lived in the Philippines and is married to a Filipino. It was great to see two of those tag teams, like the two Filipinos versus the two Canadians, especially when it's Petey Williams and TJP on respective sides. We need that match more than anything. That as an Iron Man match would be more, but Alexander's younger, so I get why he's in the match instead, and why, because he's also the exhibition champion. But, so funny spot with Fala not able to get up after a double team against Petey, so TJP tried to help him up, but TJP just fell flat first into the mat. It was a really cool way to show that he couldn't get, because of how big Falaba is. So Morrissey is being interviewed with him, going off about how fake everyone is. He talks about how people didn't call 911 when he had a seizure in the ring, but they just recorded it instead. So D'Lo Brown was the second person from Impact tonight to tell us to get our popcorn ready. Did someone just remember that saying during the taping or something? We're actually getting a backstory between Rohit and Jake something about how they came up together. This instantly made me interested in this feud from this and looking forward to their table match now. So Kojima came down finally, looks at no one else, and simply gets in the ring with Violent by Design there, looks at Joe Doring, and says, "Against all odds." And Doring nods. Kojima seems satisfied and leaves. It really reminded me of that promo that Ming, or Haku, however you want to name him, when he was hardcore champion in WCW, was getting ready for a triple threat match at the next pay-per-view, which was apparently, if I'm not mistaken, was actually his last match in WCW. But before, he said, you, pay-per-view. See? Simple. We got the point. And it was, subtlety goes a long way. And this was another example of it. So Alicia came down with Swinger in full manager role for him, and Hernandez now. But there was no Bravo or Rosemary at ringside for this one, playing up those differences again, I believe, which is great that we constantly see things that, while it's not an active storyline, they still acknowledge the past. That's key in wrestling. That's what makes Impact so fun to watch. So they are teasing Moose, thinking of going to NXT and AEW when his contract renews, but as we all know, he has already re-signed with Impact at this point. So things broke down between Sami and Moose during the main event, leading to Good Brothers getting the pinfall on Sami. Post-match, the Good Brothers hightailed it and leaving Moose to hit the lights-out spear on Sammy as we ended the show. Really loving this story going on right now with Moose and Sammy and Omega and the Good Brothers. So that's it for Impact Wrestling. So let's move on to what we got on Friday. Friday Night Dynamite. So Tony Schiavone already wanting to call the TNT Championship the Television Championship, as he said on commentary. Sting and Darby are now in the ring with the Dark Order, and they showed a sign of respect with fist bumps, moving closer to that idea that they could be joining forces. The crowd is actually chanting Austin Powers towards Anthony Ogogo. Why not something like Mr. Bean instead? Wouldn't that be a bit more of an insult than Austin Powers? That's just me, I don't know. So it was a great promo from Hangman Page, if not for the fact we were seeing a torrent of blood coming down the face of him. Like, it literally looked like he had one of those tubes on his head and was just blurting out the blood. It was nasty. So Orange Cassidy went to pick up the AEW World title, but Pac put his foot on it. Orange punch to Pac, and Cassidy gets to stand tall with the world title. You know he's not going to win, but it would be worth it just to see the Cornette heart attack. I'm just saying. Some of these matches are also that they booked on Dynamite made me feel that some of these wrestlers are put in the matches simply because they were not going to be on the Double or Nothing card. The crowd really seemed to be excited for Miro during his entrance. It was interesting to see how they reacted with him throughout the match as they slowly changed to boo him. Shida said that when she won the championship, there were no fans, and now they are all here because of the 5,000 fans in attendance. It was nice to see her get that moment with the fans before she's obviously going to lose the title to Britt tonight. It was a nice change-up to have Uno challenge for the test of strength, but Sky just put his hands behind his back to show, nope, not going to do that, no. By the way, how great was the reaction for Grayson and Uno? It was so good to see them getting the reaction and how much momentum they have, because when it was one of the few examples on that show where the fans made a difference, in my opinion. So how many 80s hairband references were made during Jericho's promo? I just gotta ask, how many do you think there was? One last one, we got MJF and the Pinnacle were standing tall at the end of the show, which can mean only one thing. We won't be seeing the end of the Inner Circle tonight. That's what I think. We'll see. With that said, let's go on to going over our predictions for tonight. So, our predictions for Double or Nothing. Let's bring them up here. Gotta check it out. Takes a second to bring them up. Right now, our current standings, we're going into tonight. I have 33 out of 55. Neo has 31 for 55, and Adam has 31 for 55. We'll see how that changes going into tonight. Where are we here? Gotta move down a little bit to find it, because we put it out during the week. There it is. So, let's start off with, as we already mentioned, it's three-way tie. Shida losing to Britt Baker. However, it's 6-3 for Shida with the fan vote. So overall, it's split 6-6. 3 fans and us 3 saying that Britt's going to win the title tonight. 6 of you are saying that Hikaru Shida is going to get the win. Now we've got Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage. Why are they putting these two together? It is a unanimous. All 3 of us are saying that Hangman Adam Page will get the win. But it is 3-1 for Hangman from the fans. So it's a 6-1 total. With our votes and your votes saying that Hangman will be the winner tonight. Then we move on to the TNT Championship between Lance Archer and Miro defending. Again, all 3 of us are saying that Miro is going to come out as the winner. You, the fans, are split 50-50 on that. So we'll go with ours saying that overall it's Miro coming out as the winner. Tag team title match between Kingston and Moxley versus the Young Bucks. Even one of the biggest Young Bucks marks, Neil, agrees it's unanimous. Kingston and Moxley are going to walk out with the tag team titles tonight. We need a title change tonight. We do, other than just the women's title. I think we're going to see quite a few. Well, we're going to see 2. That's it. But you, the fan, said 3-1 that it is the Bucks going to come out. So overall, 4-3, Kingston, Moxley with the fan votes and our votes say are going to be the winners. Then we've got the Casino Battle Royal. We have lots of 20 participants announced, with the 21st participant unannounced so far. Myself, I think of the announced people, it looks like Penta El Zero Miedo is going to win, since he's going to be the next to challenge. Then Neil thinks Brian Pillman Jr. could win it. Adam thinks Christian Cage will win it. We did see that Inais Don Ortiz said that the Pentagon, he agreed with me, is going to win. As always, you guys can give a comment on that post. Let us know who you think will be the Casino Battle Royal winner. Then we've got the main event of the evening. One of the main events, I assume. The world title match triple threat between Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, and Pac. It's unanimous. We've all said Kenny Omega will come out retaining the championship, even though I am a huge mark for this. So we got 3-1. I apologize for the noise that's about to come our way here. We got 3-1 for you guys saying that Kenny Omega is going to win. One of you saying Orange Cassidy is going to get the win. Then we got Stadium Stampede with all of us being unanimous. Myself, Neo, and Adam saying that Inner Circle is going to get the win over the Pinnacle. However, one of you have said that the Pinnacle is going to win. And then Inais also commented saying that he thinks Inner Circle is going to win. But no one else voted for the Inner Circle. Interesting. Then we've also got Cody Rhodes for the Anthony Ogogo. This is one where we're finally split up on something, with myself and Adam saying Ogogo is going to get the win, with Neil saying that it's going to be Cody Rhodes. You guys are saying that it's going to be Cody Rhodes. No one thinks that Anthony Ogogo is going to win, so it's just myself and Adam that thinks Ogogo is going to get the win. We'll see. Then we've got Darby Allin and Sting versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. It's unanimous for us saying that it's going to be Darby and Sting. Although the way that it ended, I now might be thinking differently that it could be Ethan and Sky coming out on top. And Ice made a comment as well saying that he thinks it's Sting and Darby. We're definitely going to see. The votes are all for Sting and Darby as well. So no one really thinking that Ethan and Sky are going to win. Although I do think they might have a chance now after what happened at the end of the show. So that's it for our predictions for tonight. That will be it for that. So let us move on to one of the most popular segments, or fastest rising popular segments we've got going on. It's time for the 5. There it is. 5. We're going to go over our 5 favorite matches of the week. We want to hear as well from you what you think about our 5, as well as what your 5 are. So, we are going to start off with number 5. That's right. It's going to be the tag team match from AEW Dynamite. And the only match from Dynamite this week, Dark Order versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, actually made my list. I knew who was going to win, and they still made me entertained throughout the match. Is it higher up in the list? No. We also didn't have a huge amount of matches to choose from this week, but this one does eke in at number 5. It was enjoyable. The crowd, as I mentioned earlier, really got Uno and Grayson over. Made them feel so great, and it was so good to see them going again. Then, from there, we're going to move on to 4. Number 4, Nathan Frazier versus Shaw Samuels from NXT UK. The former Ben Carter in AEW versus Shaw Samuels. Great match. Wasn't a match in the Heritage Rules matches, but it was still a great match nonetheless. NXT UK continues to impress, and this is not the last NXT UK match on this list this week, as becoming a common recurrence for NXT UK. But we're going to move on to number 3. And here's a shocker. For the first time since we've introduced the 5, we will see the introduction of a match from NWA Power. That's right, finally! Woo! Woo! NWA Powerhouse had a match that made one of the 5 best matches of the week, and that was, even with the issues, even with the sound, Camille versus Rosa. It was a great match. It built on them. It built on their story, pushed their story. Yeah, there was a couple spots that weren't the crispest spots in the match, but that doesn't always matter. It's not a 5-star match. It doesn't have to be a 5-star match to make it into the top 5. It just, in my opinion, was the 3rd best match of the week. Which brings us to number 2, our other NXT UK match, the main event, Sam Gradwell versus Trent 7. These two, it was just a brawl. You love brawls, you will love the match. It's plain and simple. If you like British Strong Style, that's a match for you. They built it nicely over the last few weeks, which NXT UK is really good about, slowly building to the match. They give you a couple weeks to build up to it. They even announce it, usually most matches 2 weeks beforehand, so that the next week you can get another promo where they know they're going to be facing. It's just really, really good, basic, but good storytelling, and it pays off for NXT UK every week. With that, number 1, should be no surprise without mentioning it yet, the main event from NXT is our number 1 match, Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. Did you expect it not to be a great match? Both men are great. They both did a really good job in it. I can't say a bad thing about it. A lot of people wanted Finn to win. I don't think anyone should have wanted Finn to win because it would have buried him. It's just crazy. It was crazy to think that Finn Balor would win that, because you would bury Kross by having him lose his first title defense. Like, you can't have someone walk in, get the title, then vacate it because of an injury right after, then finally win it back, then lose it the next match. When you're trying to build the guy up as a strong champion, you can't do that. So Balor lost, did not get hurt in any way by losing that match. But Kross would have lost a lot of heat from losing that match. So it was great, booked right, booked perfectly, as I expected, still well done. So we want to hear from you. As I said, we want and what your 5 favorite matches from the last week were. Comment below with what you think so we can compare. If you agree or liked our 5, or even if you don't agree or don't like, just give us a like anyways on the videos. It will really truly help us out with getting more people to join the community and share their opinions so we can hear what everyone's 5 matches of each week are. Alright, let's move on. He said, she said, you said. That's right. It's our favorite segment of the week where we go over some of our favorite comments from you throughout the week. As always, as we did with our previous, we are going to start off with our NWA Power comments. Jamie T is back to give his thoughts on the main post by saying the tag title match was good for what it was. To my surprise, I have to say that keeping the title on Stevens Kratos despite their tension is getting more and more interesting, because each match they have, you assume it has to fall apart now, yet somehow they still win, which is putting Stevens and Kratos over individually big time. I agree. The mat-based submission wrestling style of Camille versus Rosa match was refreshing. There were some moments it wasn't crisp, as I said, but I largely thought it was just made the match look like a struggle, which again, another reason why it made it to the number 3 spot on our 5. The main event was fine. Battle Royals aren't exactly my favorite type of match. The finish was okay. It was pretty clear Murdoch would win. The afters between Aldis and Murdoch helped build for the pay-per-view, so that's fine too. Overall, it was a decent show. Great. It was a decent show this week. Good. Thank you very much for your thoughts, Jamie. So from there, we're going to move on to NXT comments from Jim H. in the Body Slam Brigade group gave his thoughts on the show by stating, I see Finn going back to the main roster. No, Gargano doesn't deserve anything. I don't know who made up this Frankie Monet. Does Lacey Evans ring a bell? Not the same at all, which I explained to him in the comments. Ever since I went to a speech by Ted DiBiase years ago, he is just my all-time favorite. I'm so glad they found him a way back. I question who's going to be the new Raw voice with Ferg sent to the showers. Apparently they already announced that. I don't watch Raw, so I don't know. Don't care. Soundoff regular BJP is back, also in the Body Slam Brigade group, with his thoughts on this week's show by saying, love the main event. Those guys are great, but I think Finn could get the call up. Maybe at Money in the Bank. Don't care who the number one contender is. They shouldn't last 10 minutes with Cross right now. Monet reminds me too much of an ex, so she won't do anything for me for that reason. LOL. No, Dune should beat Bobby Fish every time. I don't think he likes Bobby Fish. Love seeing Dakota and Raquel on the same page. Hate that we're going to see a rematch for the tag titles. Okay, so with that, we are going to move to NXT UK. Soundoff regular and resident NXT expert Darren A has given his thoughts on NXT UK in the NXT UK NXT 205 Live Worlds Collide group, stating Kenny Williams definitely has a new attitude now that his hair is different and that he's now clean shaven. He even proved it in this matchup with someone I'm familiar with after being on an ICW Fight Club kick, Andy Wild. Looking forward to seeing what else Kenny has in store in his NXT UK future, even that with that new nasty attitude of his. Also, yes, I am happy that I can no longer hear the snap from Tealman's crossface submission. It makes me cringe whenever I hear it, even in replays from his previous match with Rohan Raja. That's what I was mentioning earlier. That snap was just nasty. Alright, so we didn't get much comments about Impact, which is becoming regular for some reason. I don't know why. So we'll just go right to our comments from Friday Night Dynamite from Porfirio C, giving us his thoughts in his AEW Alternate Elite Wrestling group, saying, best match of the night, Miro versus Dante Martin, who impressed me in singles. Worst, I'm split between Cody's promo or Cassidy's weak-ass Superman punches that literally had to be oversold by Kenny and Pac, who looked like two female dogs, for the knockouts they took from the kid who was in the Home Alone movies. Literally made me sick to my stomach. I actually want to throw up. Yep, tasting it right now. Hold on. Obviously, I didn't agree with him. I'm a huge mark. Whatever. Always, people, be sure to comment with your thoughts on every one of our posts, on our Let's React streams, which there won't be any this week, Soundoff posts, or just send us a message and we could include them in next week's He Said, She Said, You Said segment. With that said, finally, our last segment of the day, and now for something completely awesome. We're going to do 2 unboxings. For my bigger friends, we just got in 2 of AEW's Unrivaled B. 1B, the Chris Jericho with the better skin tone. Where is it? There it is. And the brandy that looks exactly the same. But I didn't want to spend $150 on a brandy, and I didn't have to, because 1B does the trick, and it's exactly the same. Especially when I'm about to just rip this bad boy open. Okay, let's get this open. Let's get my scissors out. We got scissors right here. Let's get that. There we go. And of course we got more. Because why wouldn't there be? There we go. I hate these boxes. Jeremy Padawar needs to do something about these. I love the Elite box. It's so easy to get things in and out. OCD in me does not like having to do this to get it figured out. So a little Bran. Okay. Go, let's get her out. Let's see what this thing's like. Team her up with our Cody. Oh, she's a little stuck in there. Got that big booty hanging out in the thing. This is the one thing that I'm not a big fan on the female wrestlers with, the heels. Because it is so hard to get them to stand up with those heels. Because, like, I have the Miss Elizabeth Elite, and it is ridiculous. Yeah, it's so hard to get them to do it. So please, female wrestlers in the future, if you're going to have a toyetic character, don't wear heels. Please. Because this is, I cannot get her to stand at all. Let's see, loose though? No, because it's not one that's been in a box for a while. She's doing good. She's got a little bit of purple on her hair right down here. You can see it really good on the camera, actually. That's really good. Much better than when I can see it in here with my bare eyes. Alright. Now, the one thing I am noticing, there is a little bit right here on the booty. You can see that paint right there at the top. It's actually just above where the pants are, like it's actually on her top, like on her body. You can see it if we turn it around. You can see it right here. So the paint spread out a little bit there on this figure, but those are things, if you're a mock collector, you will never see. But I will. But not that big worried about it. So with that said, let's look at the different one now. We've got one more to go. And then that will be it for our show this week, but let's just get this good old Jericho. It comes with a lot of accessories, unlike that Brandy. Alright, let's see. Oh, I gotta get better scissors, because this one's hurting my fingers. There we go. Alright. There we go. Let's get them. So we've got the gloved hands. So those are the two different types of hands we get are on him. He has his bare hands. But here we've got our little black hands. Little black hands, you see them? His gloves. Got to get that sweet, sweet hat. I love this hat. That's a really good hat. Cowboy hat. Gotta have that cowboy. Ride him, cowboy. Okay. There we go. I really like this figure. That's why I was really glad when 1B came out. I wasn't even going to get the Brandy, but because I got the Jericho. And look at that skin tone. That is some good skin tone compared to my Cody. Really good. I'm not going to try to get the jacket off right now. I got the scarf too, but like the jacket does come off. So we will get it off, but I don't think we're going to get it off quite now. Let's just put his hat on though. See how that fits. Oh yeah, that hat fits real snug and nice. It's a real nice hat on them. Really like it. I don't have really good focus on this thing, do I? Oh, well, whatever. As you can see here. Well, nothing I can do to get it to focus better. Okay. I really like the rubber jackets a lot better than the cloth, even though the cloth ones are easy to get off, but these ones just, I don't know, they look so much better. Alright. Well, that's it for these unboxings. We're going to have a couple more figures coming next week that we'll unbox for you on the show. Thank you very much for joining. If you guys haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you can do on the video. It's much appreciated. Always helps us out. We'll see you guys next time.